Formosa come out and just put a lot of pressure on. It's hard to choose which one to take down.
Yeah, well, both of these players now into team preview will be selecting which 4 of their 6 Pokemon they want to bring against their opponent. Obviously, if you're Alicia, you have to be... I mean, you see the Eevee, you know Eevee is coming. Like, this team doesn't do anything beyond, set Eevee up. I mean, maybe, I guess if you wanted to not use Eevee, you're just using your fully evolved Pokemon. But that doesn't look like the best play here.
Yeah, now for Alicia, there is one thing she can go for. The Porygon can set up Trick Room, so when Eevee goes for that Evo boost, you're going to be boosting the speed, so setting up Trick Room can definitely be a good counter to that if you can get it up. And Marowak can certainly take out a lot of these Pokemon. If it's got Bone Meringue, it's good against Arcanine, a Flare Blitz against Tapu Bulu. It does have to watch out for Tapu Fini, of course, but there are some answers to that. Gyarados can kind of wall it, although it can't do much damage to it. Tapu Koko, of course, does a lot of damage, but in Trick Room, I don't really want Tapu Koko in there. Celesteela, it can stall it out with Leech Seed, but that's going to take forever to take out a Tapu Fini that gets the boost. Tapu Fini will just take out your whole team by the time Leech Seed actually takes it out.
Yeah, well, Chase has made his selection. Alicia has made her selection. We are going into game. Both of these players playing for their tournament life. A win here will allow them to have hope to make it into Top Cut. A loss here means that their tournament will end tonight, which, at 5-3 is not a terrible way to end the tournament, but, if you're this close, you are ready to win. And it looks like we are right into game. Chase actually leading with the Pheromosa and the Arcanine, so no Eevee out just yet, alongside Alicia's Tapu Koko and Garchomp, a classic early meta lead.
Yeah, really interesting to not have Eevee in the front, because typical Eevee teams lead with it and kind of need Eevee to get set up and pass those boosts to another Pokemon in order to win, so it'll be really interesting to see how Chase decides to play this. Now, Formosa gets Ice Beam, which can take out Garchomp, unless it's got a Focus Sash or an Assault Vest. Arcanine, not in a great spot. It's weak to Garchomp's either Earthquake if it decides to go for it, or Z-Earthquake. Tapu Koko, in a pretty good spot here, depending on its item. If it's Focus Sash, then it can take a potential Poison Jab from Formosa. And it's going to be doing a lot of damage, especially to the Formosa, which is so frail.
Yeah, I think this is a really smart lead from Chase. As we mentioned earlier, one of the counters to Eevee is double spread moves, which Garchomp and Tapu Koko both had the opportunity to do this time around. Alicia will switch out the Garchomp for Porygon 2, gets that special attack boost. Chase also going to withdraw one of his Pokemon, withdraws the Arcanine for the Tapu Bulu. Wants to set up that grassy terrain to weaken the Garchomp a little bit, making sure that Earthquake isn't as strong as it might be. U-turn coming out from Pheromosa onto Tapu Koko. Not very effective, but looked like a pretty good hit to me. Chase will be able to switch out his Pheromosa in favor of another Pokemon. I mean, probably the Arcanine. You probably don't want to switch Tapu Fini into a potential electric attack from this Tapu Koko.
Yeah, if Tapu Fini is the last Pokemon, you definitely want to bring Arcanine in here, even though a Thunderbolt will still do a lot. At least you have the grassy terrain up.
Yeah, no longer have the electric terrain.
Right, and it'll heal him, the Arcanine up at the end of the turn, so it wouldn't be a terrible switch in.
Yep, is going to be the Arcanine. Chase most likely just bringing his 4 non-Eevee Pokemon now. Or maybe Eevee's in the back trying to hide away for a last-minute sweep at the end of the game. Dazzling Gleam is actually the choice from the Tapu Koko, so Arcanine not taking much damage at all, not very effective, showing the Life Orb on Tapu Koko, so even with that Life Orb boost, it didn't deal that much damage to either Tapu Bulu or Arcanine, so I think you can mark that down as a win.
Yeah, definitely a great turn there for Chase. But it'll still be really interesting to see how this plays out without the Eevee. But I'm sure Alicia was planning to face the Eevee. She may not have prepared for these 4 Pokemon from Chase. She may have been entirely expecting Eevee, because why wouldn't you against this type of team? So maybe this will give Chase the edge in Game 1 here.
Yeah, well, Porygon 2 and Tapu Koko out on the field. Alicia does have the opportunity to go for a Trick Room here, depending on which what her 4th Pokemon is in the back. Something like a Marowak under Trick Room could be very scary for the Pokemon we've seen from Chase.
Yeah, with the 3 we've seen so far, Marowak would be great. And Tapu Koko can take out the Tapu Fini later in the game if it gets to that point. So certainly a possibility here that Alicia sets up a Trick Room, but maybe not this turn since we see the Protect.
Yeah, Protect coming out from Tapu Koko. Snarl from Arcanine will not connect with Tapu Koko thanks to the Protect, but will eliminate the download boost on that Porygon 2. Tapu Bulu with the Horn Leech onto Porygon 2, going to heal up quite a bit of damage thanks to the boost from the grassy terrain. So Tapu Bulu took that Dazzling Gleam and is now back at full health. Porygon 2 with the Ice Beam onto Tapu Bulu, having taken the Snarl, gets it right back to where Tapu Bulu started the turn.
Yeah, that's why Tapu Bulu is so good. Getting the terrain up to take away Tapu Koko's damage output, while also healing it, Arcanine up, and then of course the Horn Leech, boosting the Horn Leech power, healing even more HP.
Yeah.
It's just going to be so hard to take down here unless Alicia gets a Trick Room up to set up the Marowak, if she even has it.
I think Porygon 2 is too low right now to be able to set it up safely.
Yeah, it's certainly looking like it because that Horn Leech did a surprising amount. I wonder if there's some kind of boosting item to the Tapu Bulu, or if Horn Leech is just that powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it is worth noting that this is not a EV boosted Tapu Bulu. These are Chase's Pokemon as they are. All right, well, Alicia does not want to let Porygon 2 take another attack, so it is the Celesteela in the back for her. So most likely not going to go for a Trick Room mode here. Tapu Koko with the Thunderbolt onto Arcanine does good damage thanks to that Life Orb. Would have liked to have gotten that last turn maybe, but the Citrus Berry from Arcanine will heal it right back up, and getting that Snarl off going to make sure that Tapu Koko is a little bit less able to keep launching those powerful Thunderbolts back at it. Celesteela, of course, does not really care that it just lost some of its special attack, and it will not care, it'll care even less about this Horn Leech coming out from the Tapu Bulu, even with the critical hit.
Yeah, but there is a win condition here. Celesteela, if Alicia can get rid of that Arcanine, that Celesteela becomes a win condition. Formosa may not be able to take it out, especially with its frail defenses. A Heavy Slam would do a lot. Tapu Bulu, Heavy Slam's going to do a lot to that. So other than this Arcanine threatening the Celesteela, there's not much else. Celesteela could really, really win this game for Alicia if she can protect it and get rid of that Arcanine.
Yeah, well, that's going to be the big question for Alicia. How does she get the Arcanine off the field with just that Tapu Koko? I mean, the Life Orb is dealing a lot of damage, but with the Snarl, will be starting to deal less and less as the game goes on.
Yeah, I don't know if the play here is to switch out Tapu Koko, get rid of that Snarl, special attack reduction, set up Electric Terrain later in the game, but you're going to switch in something that's just going to faint this turn, so... it's definitely a risky play going for that. And you also, maybe you want to have Celesteela go for an attack on Tapu Bulu. It's risky. It depends what Arcanine's moveset is, because an Overheat would just knock out Celesteela from this point, most likely. So, definitely risky.
Yeah, Alicia is playing it safe, retreats the Celesteela for Garchomp, which would not mind taking a resisted attack from Arcanine at all. Tapu Bulu will protect itself this turn. Discharge coming out from Tapu Koko, so just trying to get as much damage out as possible using the patented Discharge plus Garchomp early meta combo. Deals a little bit of damage to Arcanine thanks to that Snarl. Does not get a paralysis on that either. Flamethrower will connect to Garchomp, dealing a little bit of damage as well there. But no paralysis there might actually be pretty big for Alicia, not being able to keep that Arcanine slow and have that 25% chance of being fully paralyzed.
Yeah, the knowledge that Arcanine is Flamethrower, though, is really good because Celesteela will be able to take that. So that is good knowledge. And now this is a really good spot for Alicia because Garchomp, if it has Poison Jab, Tapu Bulu just protected, so you can Poison Jab that slot. Even if Formosa comes in to take that hit.
Yeah, Formosa's just too weak.
It's so frail. It may not do... over 50%, but it'll at least do a pretty decent chunk, especially if Tapu Koko then goes for a discharge as well, although it's going to switch out.
Yeah, Tapu Koko switches out for Porygon 2. Alicia trying to get a little bit more healing on that, reset the special attack drop on the Tapu Koko. Chase will retreat his Arcanine as well for the Pheromosa. So Pheromosa dodging a potential discharge or Thunderbolt from Alicia, but Tapu Bulu gets the double protect. Poison Jab from Garchomp into the double protect, so Chase is able to get Pheromosa out for free thanks to that double protect.
That's big because now the Tapu Bulu can get out as well, so that's big. That Poison Jab would have knocked out the Tapu Bulu for sure.
Oh, and the grassy terrain has ended now, so no more healing. Actually, that's probably worse for Alicia. Would like to get more healing on her Porygon 2.
Yeah, definitely. Especially after we saw how much damage Horn Leech did before. You want Porygon 2 to get as much back as it can so that it can take one more Horn Leech at least.
And now Pheromosa is exerting a lot of pressure onto Alicia's Pokemon. Celesteela coming out should be able to take anything that these Pokemon throw at it, short of critical hits from Pheromosa. Tapu Bulu switches for Arcanine, so Chase making sure to have his Fire type in whenever Celesteela is in. The Intimidate also making sure that that Heavy Slam is not going to be quite as effective if it tries to go on the attack. High jump kick, but Porygon avoids it! Oh no! Pheromosa, you don't know when to stop! Kept going, crashed. Pheromosa will get knocked out by this Ice Beam from Porygon 2, and
that's huge.
High jump kick. Why?
Yeah, high jump kick is one of those really risky moves because not only can it just miss like we just saw, but even if the opponent protects, you're still going to take that recoil.
Exactly.
It's such a risky move, and we see why a lot of players don't like going for those kind of risky moves because it didn't work right there.
And that's so much damage off the field for Chase. Pheromosa exerts a lot of offensive pressure now. Tapu Bulu and Arcanine both have a very good matchup against Celesteela and Porygon 2 here, but like you mentioned, knowing that it's actually Flamethrower might give Alicia a little bit more room to play around here.
Yeah, definitely, because if Celesteela does need to take a Flamethrower, it can. So if it wants to go for an attack onto Tapu Bulu, it can certainly feel free to do so. I still wouldn't, I don't know if I would go for it right now, but that knowledge itself is really good, because once Garchomp comes in, it's in a great spot. Garchomp won't really care too much about Arcanine, does have to worry about the burn, but certainly threatens a KO on it, and then of course Poison Jab can KO Tapu Bulu.
Yeah, well the Flamethrower is going to connect with Celesteela. Picks up the burn! Oh, Celesteela is not going to be as powerful as it might have been. Wood Hammer onto Porygon 2. Chase is not messing around with that critical hit onto Porygon 2 with the Wood Hammer. Just wants to make sure he picks up that KO after Pheromosa missed spectacularly. Heavy Slam, though, from the Celesteela, not able to deal enough damage thanks to that burn, which is probably still wouldn't have picked up the KO, but would have gotten Tapu Bulu into a much more manageable position.
Yeah, the only thing about that, though, is that Garchomp would have come in, and it does threaten a KO with Poison Jab, whether this Tapu Bulu had, the HP it has now, or whether it was almost full. Poison Jab would still knock it out.
Yeah, but the burn is now making those leftovers useless.
Yeah, and that is one of the nerfs that happened this generation. Burn damage is down from how it was last generation. So leftovers can stall out the burn.
Yeah, but for Celesteela, it needs to have a little bit more regeneration here if it's going to stick around, because it's at 30 hit points, a lot of things can knock it out now.
Yeah, and here's where grassy terrain really comes into play, because this would be a good Earthquake turn, but Earthquake gets its power greatly reduced in grassy terrain. If it's a Z-move Garchomp, then it can still knock out the Arcanine really easily, but right now I think you just want to go for that Poison Jab, but it's just so predictable. That's why it makes it tough to go for it, but you kind of just have to.
Well, Tapu Bulu goes for the Protect, so if Alicia did go for the Poison Jab, it will be into the Protect. Goes for the Rock Slide instead. Does not go for the predictable move of the Poison Jab into Tapu Bulu. Super effective damage onto Arcanine. So much damage from that Garchomp, a critical hit. Alicia able to take out the Arcanine with that Rock Slide, and Celesteela using that Heavy Slam into the Protect. And
yeah, great turn there for Alicia. That Rock Slide wouldn't have KO'd the Arcanine, but thanks to that critical hit, it did, and that's huge. But the fact that Garchomp has shown Poison Jab and Rock Slide, Chase has to start wondering what its item is, perhaps something like an Assault Vest, because usually you don't find room for both of those moves on a Garchomp set.
Definitely. And it all comes back to the Pheromosa just not able to do anything. It would have been able to pick up a KO onto that Porygon 2 earlier, and Tapu Fini now, the final Pokemon for Chase, we had not seen at all throughout the rest of this match, and I feel pretty good about that if I'm Chase for at least right now. If you can protect that Tapu Bulu while the Tapu Fini is able to get rid of the Celesteela and Garchomp? Yeah,
it'll depend on that Tapu Fini's attacks. If it has an Ice Beam, that could maybe KO the Garchomp. If it's Moonblast, it definitely doesn't KO. But Poison Jab, we'll see it KO the Tapu Bulu, and it'll do a lot to Tapu Fini once Garchomp gets around to it.
Yeah, the fairy typing of all of the Tapus really coming into play on the Poison Jab Garchomp here. Moonblast onto Garchomp is not going to be enough to pick up the KO, so that Garchomp is still tanking those hits pretty easily. Celesteela missing the Leech Seed there, would have been able to allow it to keep recovering off some of the damage there. But I think at this point it's not as big of a deal.
Yeah, I think Alicia's got this game wrapped up here. Poison Jab will just deal so much damage. Leech Seed will let Celesteela stall out Tapu Fini, even with the burn, because Tapu Fini, I don't even think a Muddy Water would pick up the KO on Garchomp here, and that's the only double targeting move that it gets.
All right, well, it's going to be the Earthquake onto Tapu Fini instead of the Poison Jab, dealing about 50% health there with another critical hit. Tapu Fini does get the Moonblast off onto the Garchomp, so we'll be able to pick up the KO this time. Alicia will still have that Celesteela available to either Leech Seed or go for the Heavy Slam. Will be the Leech Seed, will connect this time, and that will just allow Alicia to start draining away that Tapu Fini and healing up the Celesteela at the same time.
Yeah, at this point, I can't see a way that Alicia could lose this. Not only can Celesteela just stall out Tapu Fini, but she's got one more Pokemon remaining as well that can just take it out, which should pick up the knockout pretty cleanly.
Yeah, I mean, once this Tapu Koko comes in, that should be game for Alicia.
Yeah, Tapu Fini would need something like Wakanberry, and I don't even know if that would save
not
it.
on the field, or the electric terrain, so... All right, well, very interesting matchup there. Alicia able to play around. It's really interesting to watch this matchup because you can tell that Alicia came into this assuming that it would be the Eevee leads, using that Garchomp and Tapu Koko lead. But a little bit of a shakeup by Chase using his 4 non-Eevee Pokemon, or fully evolved Pokemon, which I think caught Alicia off guard, but you could see throughout the game as she was able to adapt and pivot around those Pokemon.
Yeah, she played really well, setting herself up on the board. The way she played her board position was almost flawless. She made sure she got the right Pokemon in at the right time, made sure she'd pose a threat to Chase's Pokemon, force him to react, make sure she made smart switches, get Pokemon in for free when it's really tough to switch in, especially against something as strong as Tapu Bulu.
Yeah.
One wrong prediction or one good prediction from Chase, and Tapu Bulu can just do so much damage.
Yeah, and I think what was interesting about that last game was going into game 2, we have no idea, no way of knowing if Chase is going to stick with those 4 Pokemon and say, okay, Pheromosa missed a high jump kick, so I gave up a KO for free, or if he goes to the Eevee mode and then basically tries to brute force his way through Alicia's team. And, you know, if Alicia leads the same as she did last time, it'll be very strong against the Eevee mode, but if she doesn't, then and Chase does bring the Eevee mode, then that could be a real problem for her.
Yeah, now, I'm biased. I want to see the Eevee mode, but I think Chase definitely wants to consider bringing that because even with the way Alicia led last game, you know, Garchomp can Rock Slide, Tapu Koko can Discharge. I don't know if that picks up the KO on Eevee. If you can get grassy terrain up, perhaps Eevee can survive.
Yeah.
That combination of attacks and be able to get that Evo boost off.
Right.
But I'm not 100% sure on the damage calcs. That's something Chase would probably have a better idea of. But I definitely want to see that. I want to see Eevee get set up.
It's right there. You've got to, right?
Yeah. At this point, after losing game 1, might as well go for it.
Yeah, if you're going to go down in style, right?
Yep.
All right, well, it is time for Game 2. Chase Lieber, our defending national champion, his tournament life is on the line with this final game. If he loses this, he will be going home tonight and not making it to Top Cut, as I'm sure that he expected to and wanted to. Alicia Martinez, one more victory puts her in striking distance of making it to Top Cut, and it is going to be the Garchomp and Tapu Koko leads for Alicia, and Chase is going to go with the Pheromosa and Arcanine leads as well. So very similar to the first game, and Chase just looking for a couple of extra rolls there to maybe make his position a little bit stronger.
Yeah, we saw that high jump kick miss. If that would have hit, then Chase would have been in a great spot. But of course, he also got a double protect with the Tapu Bulu. So there were definitely rolls on each side in that game 1. But Chase, feeling like he doesn't want to risk the Eevee mode, decides to go for what he went for last time with that Pheromosa and Arcanine. He's going to get the Intimidate off on the Garchomp, which is pretty big. But again, Arcanine doesn't really threaten a whole lot here. If it has Will-O-Wisp, it can try and Will-O-Wisp the Garchomp, which would definitely be helpful, but it definitely risks taking a lot of damage.
All right, well, Garchomp is switching out for Porygon too. I feel like we saw this the last time around as well. Porygon getting the special attack boost. Chase will withdraw his Arcanine for Tapu Bulu, setting up that grassy terrain, possibly to negate any kind of earthquake shenanigans that may have been coming, but also to give his Pokemon on the field some extra extra healing poison jab coming out from Pheromosa onto Tapu Koko. That is a lot of damage, super effective. Tapu Koko goes down in one hit, and Pheromosa, we talked about it with Kartana. Pheromosa is basically the same. Once it starts getting those beast boosts and starts getting rolling,
yeah,
that's scary.
And it's even faster than Tapu Koko, so there's not going to be any way of outspeeding it. You got to get the Trick Room set up. We saw high jump kick in the previous match, so if that would hit Porygon, then it would knock it out. I don't know what Formosa's item is. Maybe it's locked into it and can't switch attacks, but definitely got to watch out for that if you're Alicia.
Yeah, especially with that boost. Celesteela coming out is a good move for countering that Pheromosa. As powerful as it is, still has to worry about the heavy slam.
I mean, a poison jab after the beast boost plus a wood hammer, that should
Porygon
still
2.
knock out Porygon 2, I think. So
Yeah.
even without high jump kick, it might not even be necessary.
Yeah, Porygon 2 is probably looking a little bit scared at these two Pokemon, but Chase will withdraw the Pheromosa. Doesn't want to get that... doesn't want to lose that Pokemon this time. Already got one more KO than it did before, which is nice. But Tapu Fini out on the field, eliminating the grassy terrain, so no more healing coming out for any of the grounded Pokemon here. Celesteela does go for the substitute, gets that up, as Tapu Bulu goes for the Protect, as Porygon's Ice Beam into the Tapu Fini will make sure that Chase basically gets his Pokemon in for free.
Yeah, but this puts Alicia in the same situation that she was in Game 1. If she can get rid of that Arcanine, this Celesteela is in a great spot. This time it's in an even better spot because it's got the sub up already. Now, Tapu Koko is down, so getting rid of Tapu Fini will be a lot more difficult, but
Yeah.
I think Celesteela is definitely the win condition here. You got to get rid of the Arcanine. Even the Formosa is a threat, but you can at least protect against a high jump kick. Try and stall it out with a combination of protect and substitute.
Wait for it to miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Arcanine in the back going to be what Alicia needs to get off of Chase's team and soak. Oh, it's towel mode here. Chase is going to soak Porygon 2. That Porygon 2 is now a water type, making it very vulnerable to this Wood Hammer, picking up a one-hit KO.
Now that is really cool. That's a really good use of Tapu Fini. Soak plus
that's a tech.
Yeah, Soak plus Tapu Bulu will KO anything.
Oh, that is awesome. So Tapu Fini is going to get seeded, though, thanks to the Celesteela. And, Alicia is probably looking at that Celesteela being like, oh, my typing is Steel and Flying. I'm going to be super safe. If that substitute ever goes down and it becomes a Water-type Pokemon, it suddenly becomes way more vulnerable to Chase's Pokemon.
Yeah, that just turns not only this battle, but the match upside down, because that gives Chase an extra answer to Celesteela, an extra answer to Porygon as well. This is going to be really interesting if this goes to a Game 3, how Alicia's going to have to adapt to this Soak plus Tapu Bulu combination.
Yeah, really cool tech there from Chase, pulling off a one-hit KO on Porygon 2, which is a very rare sight to see. Garchomp now out on the field for Alicia, which is good for her because she does continue to pressure the Tapu Bulu and a little bit to the Tapu Fini. We saw it took at least 2 Moonblasts to take out that Garchomp. Yeah,
so Garchomp, there is a chance to bring this back because Garchomp, good against both these Pokemon, good against the Arcanine in the back, and then Celesteela is still behind its substitute. Tapu Fini seeded, so it's not over yet for Alicia. She can certainly bring this back with these two Pokemon. It's just, which one does she want to target here? Does she want to go for the Heavy Slam in that Tapu Bulu slot, or does she want to go to the Poison Jab and the Heavy Slam and double target that Tapu Fini?
Well, for her sake, I hope she targeted the Tapu Fini because Arcanine is in for the Tapu Bulu. Of course, will intimidate. Oh, huge avoid there. Intimidated the Rock Slide from Garchomp. Garchomp just going for that prediction on the Arcanine switch in. Does not hit the Arcanine. Muddy Water coming out from Chase's Tapu Fini. Will deal some damage to Garchomp, and Celesteela is going to be enough to bust open that sub as well. Celesteela going for the Heavy Slam, going on the offense here onto Arcanine. And now Celesteela, without that substitute up, is going to be vulnerable to a Flamethrower from that Arcanine, and most likely the Muddy Water plus Flamethrower should be enough.
Yeah, but here's the other aspect of Garchomp. With Rock Slide, there's a way. So
that is true.
Definitely not over yet. Going for the Earthquake here, it's pretty predictable. I expect the Tapu Bulu to come in just to protect Arcanine. But Rock Slide, it would be a really good move here. Not only does it have that flinch chance, but it'll hit Arcanine pretty decently hard, although Garchomp is intimidated, and I mean, at this point,
You can always
I guess
crit like last time.
right, that too. But at this point, I think you have to go for the rock slide. Either go for the crit, go for the flinch. The odds aren't that bad.
All right, well, Chase is actually going to withdraw Tapu Fini for Tapu Bulu to weaken an Earthquake that might be coming out from Alicia. The Grassy Surge setting the grassy terrain. Again, Earthquake does have its power reduced by 50%, but Alicia goes for the Rock Slide instead. Deals some decent damage to Arcanine and Tapu Bulu. No critical hit there. Arcanine will eat its Citrus Berry and heal up a little bit there. Have to see, is it able to get an attack off through the rock slide? It is! So Flamethrower will connect to Celesteela. Celesteela, we do know, is going to be strong enough to survive that pretty handily and set up a substitute. So Celesteela just barely able to hold on there. No burn this time, so it will start healing up with that leftovers again.
Yeah, really good, but now Tapu Bulu can go for a Wood Hammer into that Garchomp slot, pick up the KO pretty easily. So it does still come down to rock slide flinches.
Yeah, well, Garchomp up against the Tapu Bulu and the Arcanine. Celesteela hiding behind the sub may be able to heal itself up a little bit as time goes on, and have to see what Garchomp can make happen here.
Yep, it's all up to rock slide.
Garchomp, Celesteela staring down Tapu Bulu, Arcanine.
Now, it would be interesting if Arcanine gets a Snarl off, if that could maybe do
Go through the
25
substitute?
damage and go through the substitute and KO Celesteela. But
Yeah,
again,
now that Steel no longer resists Dark type.
Yep, but it'll come down to this rock slide.
Yep, it is the Rock Slide onto Arcanine and Tapu Bulu. Again, no critical hits there, just some good damage. Arcanine does get the Flamethrower off, so Celesteela will be vulnerable to an attack from this Tapu Bulu if Tapu Bulu decides to go for a KO here. Woodhammer does go through, is going to connect, so Tapu Bulu is not flinched. Woodhammer onto Garchomp, picks up the KO. Recoil plus the Rough Skin deals a lot of damage back, but that's all Chase needed. Just get that Pokemon off the field. Look how much damage it takes from all of that recoil. Heavy Slam from Celesteela onto the Tapu Bulu, and Celesteela is very powerful, but it is not powerful enough to defeat this Arcanine plus the other two Pokemon on Chase's team. So really strong adjustment there from Chase, actually getting some value out of his Pheromosa this time around, which really turned this game around.
Yeah, Pheromosa getting that quick KO on turn 1 with the Poison Jab onto Tapu Koko really put Alicia in a bad spot, starting immediately from turn 1. But now she has the knowledge that Pheromosa is faster, is carrying Poison Jab, and is able to KO her Tapu Koko in one hit. So she does have that knowledge, can play around that matchup a little bit differently. So it'll be interesting to see if she adjusts her lead in Game 3. And
now that 2 games gone, that Chase hasn't used the EV mode.
And now maybe Chase will decide, hey, now that she's going to stop leading Garchomp, Tapu Koko, does he go for the EV mode? Probably not, but I really hope he does.
Yeah, I mean, very good game there from Chase. Keeps this tournament alive at 1-1 going into Game 3 for the deciding match here of Swiss. Our final match of Swiss, round 8. The winner does have the opportunity to qualify for the top cut. The loser will go home a little bit earlier than either of them, I think, had planned. But this is what it needs to be. We haven't had enough 3-game sets on the stream.
Yeah, I love 3-game sets, especially in a match like this where you have to win. If you lose, you're guaranteed to not go to the top cut tomorrow, where even though if you win you're not guaranteed, but you have a shot if you win.
Yeah, the hope is still alive.
Right.
And I think you're right. The key question here is just the mind games in this team select. I mean, I also agree that I don't think Chase is going to bring the EV mode, but if you're Alicia, can you risk that in going into this deciding game?
Boy, I really hope Chase brings it, because if there's a time, it's right now. It's a best 2 out of 3, the final 3rd game in the final round of the tournament. He has to win.
He made a decision. He knows what he wants.
After just defeating the Garchomp Tapu Koko lead, which is the one lead that could really shut down Eevee if it's able to get those spread moves off. I hope we see it.
He made his decision. He knew exactly what he wanted to use this time around. I mean, if you're Alicia and you look at that, did he just choose the same 4 again? Or did he go with the Eevee mode? His set normal Eevee mode. What do you do? Alicia now is going to take her full time to actually pick which Pokemon she wants to use. Not going to let the standing by blinker psych her out.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting point, that standing by kind of ticker, because that really you can use that to throw your opponent off. If you pick your Pokemon really quickly, it kind of gives them a read on what you pick, or you can do it to try and throw them off. It's definitely an interesting tactic that you could really use, because in the past it never told you that your opponent had selected their Pokemon. So it is certainly a new aspect that maybe gives you maybe a 1 or 2% edge, but hey, you take any edge you can get in Pokemon, because those small percentages will happen all the time.
Yeah, especially in these deciding matches. We are ready for Game 3. Winner has the chance to advance to the top cup bracket. The loser will go home. Chase does lead the Pheromosa and Tapu Bulu this time. Alicia does make some adjustments, goes for the Gyarados and Garchomp. So Alicia correctly calling that Chase would not be running the Eevee mode at all, gets her Intimidates off onto Pheromosa and Tapu Bulu.
That's
huge Intimidates.
Yeah, the Intimidate will really shut down both of these Pokemon, and Garchomp threatens Tapu Bulu with a Poison Jab. Pheromosa, not very bulky. Gyarados could most definitely pick up the KO there. If it even wants to, it might see this as an opportunity to get up a Dragon Dance, even if Alicia decides to make that kind of play and maybe play a little riskier rather than just going for the KO. Maybe is predicting Chase to either switch that Formosa out or U-turn out, or protect one or both of those Pokemon.
Yeah, the lead switch up for Alicia's side here, getting that Intimidate off, really, really important, especially when you have a glass cannon like Pheromosa on the other side. Chase saw Alicia's Intimidate and was like, I want that too. Switches in his own Arcanine to get the Intimidate off onto both the Gyarados and the Garchomp. Pheromosa going for the U-turn still deals a lot of damage after that Intimidate. Will be able to switch that out, reset its attack. So Pheromosa can come in later, sort of like as a revenge Pokemon to take out another Pokemon after a feint.
Yep.
And it will be Tapu Fini, the selection on Chase's side to bring out to challenge the Gyarados and the Garchomp. Makes sense.
Yep, especially now that we know Garchomp will be in Moonblast KO range.
Poison Jab onto Arcanine, not enough because that Arcanine is not a Tapu Bulu anymore. And Gyarados just going straight for the offensive on an Ice Fang, really hoping that Chase would just leave his Tapu Bulu vulnerable there.
Yeah, but if I'm Alicia, I think having seen that Chase is very protective of his Tapu Bulu, that was a little bit of a risky play there. Although even if you go into that Formosa slot with, say, a Waterfall or even a Z Waterfall, that Tapu Fini would have taken that so well. So the Ice Fang was better than attacking that slot with a Water move, the Tapu Fini slot with a Water move. But the Dragon Dance would have definitely been the best move on that turn.
Yeah, well, hindsight is 2020, so Alicia not able to go back in time, unfortunately.
But at least, you know, her Pokemon, Gyarados is at full HP, Garchomp at barely above half, but it's still healthy enough, and it's faster than both of these Pokemon and does a lot of damage, so...
Yeah, well, Tapu Bulu is back out on the field for Chase, setting up that grassy terrain. Earthquake from Garchomp. Great read there from Chase, setting up the grassy terrain to make sure that this Earthquake is not as powerful as it could have been. That is also intimidated, so look how little damage that dealt through the grassy terrain. Garchomp is not used to dealing such pitiful damage, and it has to just sit there and take this Moonblast and go back home.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Gyarados was protecting from that turn, because there wasn't a big threat there from either the Arcanine or the Tapu Fini. I think Garchomp was the one that was really in danger there.
Yeah.
You know that Tapu Bulu is in the back, so going for an Earthquake is risky. You know Moonblast can take out Garchomp. So yeah, it was a pretty risky play going for that Earthquake, and then having Gyarados protect, it might have been better off either going for the Dragon Dance or kind of adjusting your board position, switching it out, but at least getting Garchomp out of there that turn, or at least going for a Poison Jab into the Tapu Fini if you're going to go for an attack.
Yeah, and unfortunately Alicia did not do that, but Tapu Koko is in the back, so we'll be able to reset the terrain here. We have 3 Tapus on the field. We're only missing Tapu Lele.
Yeah, this is actually really good for Alicia now, because Thunderbolt will do massive damage to Tapu Fini and to whatever Chase switches in. If
Arcanine or Pheromosa.
If he decides to switch that Tapu Fini out. And Gyarados, it can still set up a Dragon Dance if it wants to. We've seen Ice Fang already, but it won't do a whole lot. Tapu Bulu is pretty physically bulky, so...
And it needs to reset that Intimidate as well.
That as well, so Ice Fang... you're pretty much just going for the flinch or the freeze there and that little bit of chip damage.
All right, well, Chase is withdrawing the Tapu Fini, getting the Arcanine back out, so another Intimidate on to that Gyarados. So Gyarados just sort of sticking around, trying to deal as much damage as possible, but getting intimidated for its time. Tapu Koko actually protecting this turn. Alicia not trying to go on the offensive with the Tapu Koko, but Gyarados finally starts getting its Dragon Dances set up, so will increase its speed and its attack. So now it's back to where it started the turn at -1 attack there. And Tapu Koko does protect itself from Tapu Bulu's attack there, so overall pretty good turn there for Alicia.
Yeah, still better than nothing. Even though Gyarados is at -1, that's still better than -2. And it threatens the Arcanine. It depends what Alicia's last Pokemon is. If she wants to switch out Tapu Koko, because even though the grassy terrain isn't up, Woodhammer will still deal a lot of damage.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a consideration to make there, which is why she protected the Tapu Koko, didn't want to get any additional damage on there. And Celesteela now finally coming out for Alicia. Had to assume that was in the back, trying to get that Arcanine taken care of, but it's a revolving door of Pokemon as Arcanine switches out for Tapu Fini. Both of these players trying really hard to play for board position on this field here. Now the Misty Terrain is up, and the Z move coming out, the Hydro Vortex from Alicia Martinez's Gyarados, most likely targeting down what used to be that Arcanine, and now the Tapu Fini. I think Tapu Fini will take that just fine.
Oh yeah, easily. With Gyarados at -1 attack, and this being resisted, and Tapu Fini having massive bulk, shouldn't do a whole lot.
That Whirlpool, it looks like it should deal so much more damage, but Tapu Fini is so bulky, resists that, and of course, with the Intimidate, also making sure that Tapu Fini does not take that much damage. Celesteela, for its part, tanks that Woodhammer like a champ.
Yeah, Chase is really playing well with his kind of Water, Grass, Fire core, which has great defensive synergy. And I fully expect him to kind of use that again this turn. This would be another opportunity to bring Arcanine in for that Tapu Bulu. Not only will it reduce Gyarados and Celesteela's attack, but it'll resist a potential Heavy Slam, resist a potential Ice Fang. I'd love to see Alicia try and make a read one of these turns, trying to predict one of these switch-ins. So maybe a Waterfall into the Tapu Bulu slot. If she's going to go for a Heavy Slam at the same time, I'd like to at least see that, just so Arcanine starts to lose some of its HP.
Yeah, Celesteela probably needs to start thinking about getting up Leech Seeds as well in order to start draining these Pokemon.
Yep, and Tapu Fini is definitely a great choice for that.
Yeah, Celesteela, Alicia needs this Celesteela to be able to stick around to get that chip damage off onto the Arcanine, onto the Tapu Fini, and just be able to wall the rest of Chase's Pokemon, because at this point, with a -2 now, I believe, Gyarados, she's just not able to exert that much offensive pressure as it is. Tapu Fini does go for the Moonblast into the Protect, so Gyarados, with that Protect, will not take any damage, but the Heavy Slam coming out onto what used to be the Tapu Bulu, onto Arcanine instead, with that Intimidate just not dealing the damage.
No, so Alicia is not in a great spot, and she's used her Z move already, so with Gyarados' level of attack, even Waterfall is not going to take out Arcanine from this point. You want to have Celesteela get Leech Seeds up, but Arcanine is in right now, so it's tough to get set up.
Yeah, when you're staring down a flamethrower from that Arcanine.
Yeah, and Tapu Koko is pretty frail, so you don't want to switch it in, but you need a damage dealer to get out here at some point.
Well, Chase is just going to keep swapping his Arcanine in and out, trying to cycle those Intimidates. Tapu Bulu now back out on the field for Chase. Alongside the Tapu Fini, that Fire, Water, Grass core really doing a lot of work for Chase. Tapu Koko, though, will switch in here, so Tapu Koko may not have to take much damage from Chase's Pokemon here. Also sets up its own terrain. Waterfall from Gyarados will deal some damage to the Tapu Bulu. Very negligible damage there. And the Moonblast from Tapu Fini is going to connect onto the Gyarados, so starting to get some damage dealt to that Gyarados, which takes a special attack drop for its worth, too.
Yeah, that actually did a pretty decent amount of damage there from Tapu Fini as well. Not known for being a huge damage threat, but that's going to 2-hit KO Gyarados. Although Alicia does have her Tapu Koko in, again, with the electric terrain up, so this is the opportunity to get a lot of damage done. It's just, I would have liked to see this when Tapu Koko was in many turns ago, or I would have liked to see some reads, expecting Chase to switch in and out. But these are the type of battles I really love. I love these kind of defensive synergy all the switching going on, all the mind games that come into play here. These are the games I really, really like.
All right, well, we are back in that situation where Tapu Koko, if it decides to go out for an attack, basically has free damage on Chase's Pokemon here. Celesteela is going to be the switch in for Alicia. Finally getting that Gyarados out. Will be able to get more Intimidates off if she needs it. Arcanine out for Chase as well. I think we've sort of picked up on what's happening here. Switch the Arcanine in, switch it out. Switch it in, switch it out. But now that Gyarados is out, the Intimidates are not having as much power here. Tapu Koko, though, going for the Protect again, not going for an attack. And Tapu Fini also protecting, but it fails because it's the last move, and there was nothing to protect anymore.
Yeah, but that is big because it means Tapu Fini can now protect this turn if it wants to, although I expect Tapu Bulu to come in and reverse this terrain just because Arcanine is still going to be key.
Right.
So this is where I would love to start seeing a prediction come out from Alicia. Try and predict that slot that Tapu Bulu is going to come in on and go for a double target there with Heavy Slam and Thunderbolt.
All right. Well, it is going to take some kind of prediction to break through this intimidate cycle that Chase has put Alicia under. Tapu Bulu will switch out for the Tapu Fini, not the Arcanine this time. Arcanine's still happy to just threaten that Celesteela with a Flamethrower. Thunderbolt will come out onto Arcanine, so no more terrain, so not enough to pick up the KO. With the terrain, it definitely would have picked that up. Citrus Berry, of course, also really big for Arcanine, putting it back outside of Heavy Slam range. Flamethrower will connect with the Celesteela this time. And bring it back down to a little bit above 25%. So we do know that Celesteela does have just enough health to get up that substitute. That roll is a little bit higher than last time.
Yeah, this will be really interesting, though, because while Tapu Koko, maybe not anymore after that grassy terrain. I was going to say threatens a KO with Thunderbolt onto Arcanine,
I think it's still there. It's close.
Yeah, it's really close, but at the same time, if you go for that, Tapu Bulu is just going to knock out the Tapu Koko, so...
Yeah, and then Celesteela, Celesteela could start trying to get some Leech Seeds up once Arcanine's taken care of, but it's going to be, it really is just going to have to come down to Alicia making a call here, making a read, and catching Chase off guard. And so far, it's Chase who has been in the driver's seat of this game.
Yeah, and Alicia has her back up to the wall now. That's why I would have liked to see the predictions come out before. But
does pick up the KO this time, so Tapu Koko is able to take the Arcanine off the field, which can be pretty big for making sure that Celesteela is able to continue to wall off Chase's team. The Woodhammer will pick up the KO onto Tapu Koko, but take a lot of recoil because of it. Celesteela's Heavy Slam, I believe this Celesteela still has an Intimidate on it, so may not be as powerful as Alicia wants, but that is pretty good damage. Tapu Bulu holding on in the red. Another Heavy Slam would be enough.
Yep, even an Ice Fang from the Gyarados should be enough to take it out.
And the Intimidate coming in.
Yep, so it's really good to get rid of the Arcanine there, and Gyarados, it's got an opportunity to sweep here as well. If Alicia can take out that Tapu Bulu. However, that Tapu Fini, we saw it did just over half with the Moonblast. So
yeah, so Tapu Fini can definitely get a KO on this Gyarados.
Yeah, so I think Alicia's going to have to try and predict when that Tapu Bulu is going to go for a Protect and try and protect her Gyarados. When Tapu Bulu goes... or Tapu Bulu goes for a Protect so that Tapu Fini can't knock it out. Go for a Leech Seed onto Tapu Fini to try and heal Celesteela back up because that's the other win condition.
Yeah. Yeah, with Tapu Fini so healthy, can't imagine Gyarados will be able to get off a sweep here. We'll probably have to come down to Celesteela just grinding this out for her.
Yeah. Gyarados does have flinch capabilities, though, with
Ice
Waterfall
Fang.
and Ice Fang.
Yeah. Or can Ice Fang freeze as well?
It can, although, let's see. I think if I'm Alicia, I think you just have to protect Gyarados this turn and go for a Leech Seed onto Tapu Fini. I don't think there's any other win condition here.
All right, well, Tapu Bulu is protecting itself. Gyarados going for the Waterfall onto Tapu Bulu. Wanted to pick that up, but is not able to. The Moonblast from Tapu Fini onto Gyarados will be able to pick up this KO. Oh, it's not!
The damage rolls.
The damage rolls! Gyarados actually surviving, but Celesteela went for the KO onto Tapu Bulu. Was not able to get off the Leech Seed onto Tapu Fini or deal any damage that turn. Unfortunate there. Alicia's still able to recover with those leftovers, but would love to have seen some Leech Seed recovery as well.
Yeah, if Gyarados was going to target that Tapu Bulu slot, then I would have loved to see Celesteela go into the Tapu Fini slot with a Leech Seed to start healing, because if Tapu Bulu protects, you don't really gain anything, and you have to imagine Tapu Bulu would protect before switching out into a really frail Formosa.
All right, well, the Ice Fang is going to be able to pick up the KO onto Tapu Bulu this time around, so Gyarados does pick up that KO. Muddy Water coming out from Tapu Fini should, as it connects with the Pokemon, will be enough to pick up the KO onto Gyarados and should be enough to break the substitute as well. Critical hit helps, but it's a little bit extra. Celesteela is going to be out from behind the substitute now. Goes for the Leech Seed this time, will connect with the Leech Seed, so Tapu Fini is seeded now. So Celesteela may be able to start stalling this one out, start grinding out some additional health recovery using that Leech Seed from Tapu Fini, using the Protect, possibly even using the Substitute. Of course, Pheromosa in the back. Obviously, if it's using the high jump kick, it might not want to use the high jump kick, but some of its other attacks...
Yeah, it'll depend if it has any other attacks to really damage Celesteela, but we saw Tapu Fini had Soak in the previous game, so even if Formosa goes for even a bug move onto that Celesteela slot, if Tapu Fini can Soak it, then it can just deal enough damage. But
Tapu Fini will have to Soak a turn before Pheromosa is able to deal the damage, though, so... If it goes for a Soak and Celesteela just knocks out the Pheromosa, that might not be a great position to be in.
Nope, it would let Moonblast do a lot more, but it's seeded, so it could get stalled out.
Oh, wow. Pheromosa went for the high jump kick, which will connect this time. So Celesteela going down, high jump kick, making up for that first game, and Chase Liebert takes that in a really interesting 3-game set.
Yeah, that was really, really close. Really intense couple of games there. I loved the defensive switching on both players' sides.
There was so much switching. There was more switching in that game than any of the other games that I've been casting.
Probably more switching in that match than the entire day. So that's what it felt like anyway. But boy, that was a really intense match. Didn't disappoint for the final game of the day. So really exciting to see how Chase was able to make his team work without the Eevee.
Yeah.
Right. So he's got a really good secondary mode there, as we saw.
I feel bad. I was trashing on it before the games began.
We were.
I didn't believe, but
Yeah, we went into the match saying, oh,